Hi, Chem 1212. So that we can make sure we're all on the same page when we're trying to name some organic compounds. That's what we're going to do here. Learn a little bit about naming organic compounds. And to do that, what I'd like you to do is stop this video and read this section right here. Read about Model 1 and then try to answer question 1. It should take you around 3 or 4 minutes. And at that point, I will come back on, or you'll start me back up, I guess, and I'll go through an answer. So click stop now. All right, so I'm assuming you've done the work here that needs to be done. And so let's look at these. An alkane must have this formula of CnH2n plus 2. So what is the N? The N is the number of carbons, right? So we should be able to very easily look over and say, okay, if N equals 1, we'd have 1 carbon. So if N equals 1, we'd have 1 carbon. And that means we'd have 2N plus 2, or 2 plus 2 equals 4 hydrogens. So if we look at this first one, this can't be an alkane because, well, I'll erase that again. It can't be an alkane. This one's got to be wrong because it should have 4 carbons. So this one's correct. This one right here is an alkane. C2H6. If N equals 2, then 2 times N is 4 plus 2 is 6. Good. This one's an alkane. 27 and 54 are twice of each other, not plus 2, so this is not correct. 30 twice, that one works out. Perfect. C5H8, not that one. C8H18, that works. That's actually octane, gasoline. And this one's got an oxygen in it, so that's not an alkane. Great. So the key thing is here, we can identify what an alkane is. It's the simplest form of organic compound. All right, so one thing to kind of get in your back of your mind now is if we try to name these, is that there's an old school traditional method for naming the first 4 organic compounds. And it goes like this, that if we have 1 carbon is called methyl. 2 carbons is called ethyl. 3 carbons is called propyl, and if it's 4 carbons, it's called butyl. So the way I remember it is, I will go and remember this saying, Molly eats purple berries. I know it seems silly, but it gives them in order, methyl, ethyl, propyl, butyl. So we've got methyl, ethyl, propyl, butyl. So Molly eats purple berries. After that, if we have 5, we would have a stem on our name called penta for 5 for pentane. 6, hexa, 7, hepta. This is the common stuff you learned when you were taking Chem 1211. One other note for you is that for all carbon compounds that are stable and that we'll ever talk about, all carbon compounds here, the carbon will always have 4 bonds around it. 4 bonds. So if we have a something that's like methane, we know that that's got 4 bonds around it. That's perfect, right? So this thing that's called methyl, though, is a root. It's a stem. It's this. It means there's 3 hydrogens and then something else. There's something else here. So a lot of times when you get into a higher level organic, they will talk about what else is on here, and it'll change the way we name things. So this is a methyl right here. This thing that I've just highlighted is a methyl. That's a methyl. And that's how this becomes methane. Methane having 1 carbon. Okay, so let's look at how to name these guys, and the best way to do it is to try to figure it out by looking at the trends. So I'm going to ask you to stop once again, look at the examples that are given. Okay, there's this one and this one. Look at those 2 and use that to name all of these. So press stop right now and come back and turn it on, and we'll go through these once again. Okay, so hopefully you've done this and tried. So the alkane formula for 1 carbon, we should fill in all these. This is real easy. CH4, C2, so 2 times 2. Remember, we've got the 2N plus 2 is the number of hydrogens. So if you got 2 carbons, 2n plus 2 is equal to 2 times 2 plus 2. That's going to be C2H6. If we have 4 carbons, C4, 2 times 4 is 8 plus 2, 10. C5, that's going to be C5H, 2 times 5 is 10, that's going to be 12. Hopefully you're seeing the pattern here. H14, over here C8, H18, we've already talked about that one, that's called octane, okay, because oct means 8. And then finally C10, H22. So let's go through the naming now. The naming should be pretty simple. This is the single carbon that's 1 through 4 here get the special names. So this would be called methane. The second one with 2 carbons is ethane. If we have 4 carbons, it's butane. I'm sure you've heard of that too. That's in lighters. And then C5, we start with the regular naming. So this becomes pentane. C7, that would be heptane because 7 is given the stem HEPT. And then lastly, 10 is decane. So there you go. A little bit of learning for you to help you out in case you're going forward in chemistry. Plus, we will often talk about these as time goes on.